Hey everyone, welcome to Fermentation Friday, down in my basement, here talking to you about the recipe of the week, which is kombucha. This has been a very high drama week for me. That might be partially because I normally have no drama in my life, so brewing this kombucha was a little bit of an experience. It started out with lots of lows, but we ended on a high point, so I hope that showing you the day-to-day, I basically made a diary of how the ferment evolves. I hope that my experience as someone who's never done the kombucha before can be helpful for you. I was surprised how shocked I was with the different steps as they evolved and the Scoby developed, as it should, but it felt really uncomfortable having not seen kombucha brewed before and just being paranoid about mold in general. That's the main reason why I have those pH testing strips in my fermenting kit. So last week I got a Scoby, which I found out it's a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. So that's kind of cool. Some of my research paying off. I picked it up from someone that I found online. I went on Facebook and just did an ask around in one of my local mom groups and super quickly found someone who was willing to help me out. So it's probably really easy to find one yourselves, but they also sell them in lots of places where you can buy the kits for brewing them. So you can buy it, you can find it, it's easy to get it, but you do need that to get started. So the first step for you, before you can then come to this video to learn how to make it, is you need to find this culture, this mother, they're kind of called. I was surprised how easy it was to do. It's basically just fermented sweet tea. So you just make tea and then you put it in a bucket and you let it kind of rot for a week. You don't touch it, you don't do anything. I obviously was right in there checking it out all the time, and now that I've done it, I feel confident. I have my next batch going. In this video, I actually show you making the tea and then putting in the fresh tea into my kombucha pot. So I'm excited for next week, because next week I'm gonna do a video all about doing the second ferment stage. To do the second step, I need to get some kombucha that's already gone through the first step. So that's what I'm making this week. And then in following videos, I'm going to show you how to do the second stage, which is when it gets carbonated and when you can add your flavoring, which is what I'm actually excited about. As it is right now, it's just kind of a vinegar tea. It tastes really pleasant. It tastes good. Ian tried it too, and he said he likes it. But I want pop, so so that's the goal. Make a health pop. So that'll be coming for you later. I basically am going to show you a diary here of me filming it day to day as it goes on, tell you my reactions of what I thought was happening and how I felt about it, and you can basically see as a first-time brewer what to expect in those first couple days. So stay tuned, here comes the diary footage, and if you want to check out further Fermentation Friday videos, make sure to subscribe here. We do them weekly. So hope you enjoy. Hey everyone, so I picked up my mother, which is my kombucha thing. Yeah, super exciting. And so I made up some sweet tea. Don't mind my super messy kitchen. And now I get to get it started and get going on first ferment kombucha. Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit worried here. It's looking gross and moldy. There's just a couple kind of flecks and spots on the top. It's kind of this white slimy scum. Seeing this, I'm gonna go from here and do some research, but it's really not looking good. Yeah,
I don't want to embarrass myself here and get this Scoby given to me and then instantly mess it up. So I'm gonna cross my fingers that I can figure out what's going on, but at this point I'm not super happy with what this looks like right now. Day 2 here, done the research and feeling slightly less concerned about it being mold. It sounds like it's a common first time brewer concern that what a Scoby forming is mold growing. So it's not quite what I want it to look like, but I just got to give it some time here. So yesterday it smelled really, really like beer, and it still has that scent. So I am still a little concerned that I could be getting some yeast colonies, but for now I got to give it some time.
Okay, so this is day 4, and I think I can say this is the first time I've looked at the kombucha and didn't think that I'm growing mold. It actually looks like something that should maybe be kombucha at this point. Now that I've kind of given it a bit of time, I can see some of those spots that at first I thought were something to be concerned about might have actually just been bubbles underneath the water. Any of those lighter spots there are actually just pockets of air, making it so that you can see the difference between the Scoby and the tea itself. I have started to notice these freaky little dangly bits though, and that's normal, but kind of disgusting. Ian isn't 100% sure if he wants to actually see what this tastes like, but it's smelling quite vinegar-like, and I did use more starter than I was supposed to, so I think I'm going to give it a taste test at this point. It might actually be acidic enough to add more tea to it. I used just the tea that I had with the Scoby and the starter that I had just to get going, so that I'd have enough starter tea to do an entire jug's worth. And maybe I'm there. Maybe I'm ready. Okay, so I'll let you know. Okay, so it's day 5 here, and it's actually starting to thicken up pretty good in there. We had a taste of it last night, and it's tasting pretty sour, but still good. Still a lot of sweetness in there, so I think we're pretty good on track for being able to empty out a little bit for day 7 and top it up. But yay, I didn't grow mold. It looks like what things look like on the internet now. Yay, success. One of the first things you're going to need to make is the sweet tea to get added into the Scoby. I boiled up this water here for about 10 minutes before I did this step. You want to do that to make sure that it is completely clean, no bad bacteria in it, and also that it'll boil out the chlorine. They recommend using purified water. I'm too lazy and too cheap to do that, so boiled water is good enough for me, but we also don't have fluoride in our city water, so I don't have to worry about that causing a bad reaction with the Scoby. At this point, you need to let the water cool down to a room temperature, and I've just pulled this off. You can maybe still see some heat rising out of here. This recipe I'm making is for 1 gallon. I'll include the recipes for the sweet tea below. This is a big batch because I have a big crock for it, so I need 8 tea bags, so that's in there, and 1 cup of sugar. I'm going to give that a little bit of a stir, and then I'm just going to let it sit down probably for about an hour or 2 until it does its thing, pull the tea bags out, and then I'm going to show you transferring it into the crock with the Scoby and the starter tea. So there we go. I poured in the tea last night. It was a little bit late, so I didn't catch it on the camera. Because I actually have the Scoby going already, I was a little bit gentle about it. I used a spoon. I poured it on top of the spoon to get it to pour in along the sides. But if this is your first time, you need to just throw it in there, and then after the tea's in there, it's easier to add in the starter tea and the Scoby that you've gotten from another source. For this recipe, I used about 20 to 25% of the starter tea, but the recipe that I followed recommended that you could use as little as 10%. I just wanted to make sure that there was the acid in there and keeping it safe as possible. And I want to get this Scoby growing as strongly as possible, so I didn't want to stress it too much by just completely changing the environment that it's already used to. But pretty happy. You can see, you know, I got a pretty good layer going on there. That's the one that grew in just the week. You know, there's some weird layers underneath, but you know, happy with how it turned out. Happy that the week ended on a high note, and excited to get this batch going and getting to do a second ferment. That's going to be what our next video is going to be all about. So make sure to subscribe, and I will see you next week.